Good morning on this unbelievably beautiful Friday morning. Excited about the week, excited about the long weekend and all of that. But before we get there, the weekend's not here just yet. We still got to close it up. So yesterday, we started off strong. We continued to be strong. We moved throughout the day to the Dow. We actually was triple digits for the majority of the day, finished up 80 points in the final 12 minutes were added to the Dow to actually hold on to that triple digits. We finished up about 130 points. NASDAQ had a pretty nice day. It was struggling during certain parts of the afternoon. It did close, however, in positive territory. And we've seen this back and forth where there are days where it seems the NASDAQ wants to be the leadership to the upside, and then other days where it gets passed off to the Dow. And obviously, we've had many, many days where all three of the major indices have been moving to the upside. So record numbers, it seems like on a daily basis, because it has been on a daily basis. Pretty amazing. So volatility index yesterday, right there in the 16s. Again, very, very tight. We did have some really good volumes yesterday, a little underneath 36 million contracts trading yesterday. It was Apple leading the charge. It was Apple with 1.6 million contracts yesterday. After that, nobody else above a million. So we'll just give it to Apple for having the leadership role that it has reclaimed and continues to hold on to at this point in time. 10-year, right around that 1.3 level. And that's been something we've been watching very, very closely. It's been a little bit higher, obviously up closer towards 1.5 or 6, and then it's pulled back significantly at times. So here we are right in the middle. It seems to be a safety spot, at least for right now. And any kind of movement up, you start to see a little bit of that move in the financials to the upside. We had crude nearing that 70 level yesterday. And what was one of the leadership areas, or the leadership area yesterday? Energy. We had an absolute explosive move yesterday, up about 2.5% in the energy space. But some of the leadership, now we had Cabot Oil and Gas not too terribly long ago, maybe a week and a half, actually, maybe it's 2 weeks ago now, where we had some unusual option activity in there. And I got to tell you something, maybe it was only a week ago. This stock has taken off. And yesterday, a great example of that, Cabot Oil up nearly 7% on the day. And you take a look over at many of those different beta names in energy. Wow, were they rocking and rolling to the upside. Now, we've talked about it to the downside, so let's not, sugarcoat anything. We do get that kind of movement, but that's why these beta names are the names that we talk about each and every day, because of that incredible movement that you see. Apache. I take a look over at Occidental. I look at Marathon. I look at Halliburton. I look at Devon. All of those names up 4% or more on the day yesterday. A really, really strong performance. Walgreens leading the Dow. That was pretty interesting yesterday. A nice, strong move to the upside, up about 3%. And, of course, sticking with energy just for a second, you take a look at Chevron. That also up yesterday about 2%. A nice move for the major big cap oil names as well. So it's not just those betas, but those betas, that's a great example. Chevron was up 2% yesterday. It's a phenomenal move. Then you look over at those beta names, they're up 4% or more across the board on a day like we had yesterday with energy. Speaking of energy, still holding on and actually a little bit above that 70 level, at least to the start today in the pre-markets and so forth. Matter of fact, pre-markets, we were quiet. I mean, really, really quiet. Dow wasn't even moving at all. You look over at the NASDAQ, yeah, it's been up a little bit, maybe 10 or 20 points. We get into the day, we start to see the NASDAQ start to fluctuate around. Last I looked, the NASDAQ's been either up or down about 20 points. Last I looked, it was up about 20 points. The Dow, on the other hand, has been kind of all over the place, but mostly to the downside. We were down 60, we were down 90, we were down 120. Down 120 at the top of the hour at 9 o'clock Central Time, first half hour of the day. But as we came on here, we were starting to improve just a little bit. The last I looked, we were down about 70 points on the Dow, so improving off of those lows. So both silver and oil holding up pretty nicely, and a nice little bit of a move to the upside. You got the 10-year was up about 2% early on. We got a 1.32 there, so that's been a little bit of a move. Volatility back down towards that low 16s. We've been underneath 16, but we've been holding really mostly just above that 16. With the extended weekend, be interesting to see how the pricing of volatility starts to look as we get a little bit deeper into the day. We get towards afternoon and then all the rest of it. You start looking at those machines that are actually pricing models. You're going to see a lot of that movement as they take one day away and one day away and one day away. that's going to be something to keep a close eye on. Technology was leading pretty nice, at least early on. You had about 0.5% to the upside. We look over and you see some strength in the semiconductors as well. What was really leading that? Take a look at Taiwan Semi today. That's one of those names really having a nice lift today. Take a look at AMD, also NVIDIA. You look across and you see a lot of these various names. As a matter of fact, Broadcom, which is AVGO, that's another one that's having a pretty decent day as well. So we are seeing certain subsectors start to move a little bit as well and actually helping out a little bit of that movement for the NASDAQ. So DocuSign started off the day up about 3%. It was actually moving up well over 6% the last I looked. Why? Earnings. They had the earnings. There's a name we talked about yesterday on the halftime report. This is one of those names that I believe going forward is not just a name that's because of the pandemic. This is something that I think works throughout going into the future. So DocuSign certainly showing some of that incredible numbers and the growth and everything else that goes along with their earnings that they gave up, but the nice, big, solid move today. So you look over at Avago, that did have a really nice day as well. Broadcom, AVGO, that name up pretty nicely. We also had Hewlett Packard up pretty nicely off of their earnings. So earnings season never really ends, but those names that are reporting, giving up some of those numbers that are enough to really start to move to the upside, and a nice move to the upside from multiple different names. So got a couple unusuals and then we're done for the week. Nothing today with halftime, nothing today with the fast money. So it won't really see you again till the halftime report next Tuesday. But before we get there, let's hit a couple of unusuals. So CCJ, Kamiko, uranium, talking about energy. We talk about energy all the time. But I'll tell you what, this name has been hitting and hitting and hitting. It's hit 4 separate times already just in the month of September. We've had very, very bullish option paper in here. You've heard me talk about this one for some unusual. Well, today we got a buyer, again, some unusual, 8,200 of the October 22 calls. Now, this is a name that's been moving to the upside. It was in the upper teens, started to move, got into the 20s. This morning, last I looked, at the time of this trade, it was right around 21.30 with the stock. We had these October 22 calls, about $1.50 for those calls. So continued buying to the upside in this particular name. So Lucid, it's another one of these electrical vehicle technology name. We talked about this one a long time yesterday on the show. We led the show with the EV space. This is one of those names that I also had for unusual yesterday. It's unusual again today because 7,600 of next week's 20 strike calls, September 10th expiring. We had buyers, those were going for 55 cents up to about 75 cents. As I said, 7,600 of those. Stock was trading just underneath 1930. So not a huge move needed here. We still have some expiring today options that were moving. There were the 20 strikes from the other day. So a lot of activity we're seeing in this name as well. Folks, I'll tell you what, have a safe and wonderful weekend. I know it's a little bit of an extended one, so enjoy that, enjoy the time. But you really do want to know about the derivatives world. The education is what you need to find. We have a great group of guys here at Market Rebellion. Love to get you guys educated because I'm telling you what, you hear me talk about it all the time, but these volumes in the derivatives markets, they're real. This is where growth is. You want to be where the growth is. Folks, have a great day and have a great weekend.